Hello, dear brother and dear sister. Welcome to the Bible Spoken. Today we are going to dive into another fascinating story from the Bible, a narrative full of meaning and powerful lessons for our lives. If you enjoy this type of content and want to learn more about the wonderful stories of the scriptures, be sure to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Your interaction is very important so that this message reaches more people. Now, without further ado, let's get into the story of the Tower of Babel. The story of the Tower of Babel. The story of the Tower of Babel is one of the most intriguing passages in the Bible. It is recorded in the book of Genesis, chapter 11, and takes place at a very peculiar moment in human history, shortly after the flood that destroyed the earth in the days of Noah. Through this narrative, God teaches us about pride, unity, communication, and above all, His own sovereignty over humanity. To fully understand this story, let's divide it into some fundamental parts. The context of the Tower of Babel, the decision of men, pride and rebellion against God, divine intervention, the consequences and the dispersion of the peoples. Lessons we can learn. The symbolism of the Tower of Babel, the connection of the Tower of Babel with the New Testament, the meaning of the Tower of Babel for modern times. Final reflection. 1. The context of the Tower of Babel. After the flood, Noah and his family were the only survivors on earth. God blessed them and commanded them to multiply and populate the whole earth. Genesis 9 verse 1. Humanity, therefore, began to grow again, and the descendants of Noah spread out. However, instead of obeying God and dispersing across the earth, men decided to stay together in a single region. They found a vast plain in the land of Shinar, probably in the Mesopotamian region, and decided to settle there. This decision, in itself, already demonstrated a certain resistance to divine will. Instead of fulfilling God's command to fill the earth, they decided to remain together, seeking security that did not come from the Creator but from their own collective strength. 2. The decision of men. Over time, the people living in Shinar had a bold and innovative idea to build a city and a tower so tall that it would reach the heavens. In Genesis 11 verse 4, we read, "Then they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth.'" This verse reveals much about the intention of the human heart at that time. Instead of seeking the glory of God, they wanted to make their own name famous. Instead of submitting to the divine plan, they tried to consolidate their own power. The construction of the tower, besides being an impressive architectural project, symbolized a rebellious heart that wanted to challenge the sovereignty of God. 3. Pride and rebellion against God. Human pride has always been a problem throughout history. From the beginning, we see how pride leads people away from God. In Eden, Eve and Adam disobeyed because they wanted to be like God. Now, in the land of Shinar, men wanted to build something so grand that it would showcase their own greatness. The problem was not the construction itself, but what it represented: an arrogant, independent, and disobedient heart. 4. Divine intervention. God, seeing the intentions of men and realizing the dangers this could bring, decided to intervene. He said, "But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, 'If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them.'" Genesis 11 verses 5 to 6. To contain this rebellion, God confused the language of men, making them no longer understand each other. This resulted in chaos and the dispersion of the peoples. 5. The consequences and the dispersion of the peoples. With the inability to communicate, the people abandoned the construction and spread out across the earth. This was how different nations, languages, and cultures emerged, fulfilling, in a forced way, what God had ordered from the beginning. The city became known as Babel, which means confusion, because there the Lord confused the language of men. 6. Lessons we can learn. The story of the Tower of Babel teaches us that pride and arrogance drive us away from God. When we try to build our own security without God, we fail. God is sovereign, and His plan always prevails. The diversity of languages and cultures is the result of divine intervention in human history. 7. The symbolism of the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is more than just a story about the confusion of languages. It symbolizes humanity's pursuit of self-sufficiency and independence from God. Many civilizations throughout history have tried to build their own Tower of Babel, placing knowledge, science, and power above faith and dependence on the Creator. 8. The connection of the Tower of Babel with the New Testament. Interestingly, the dispersion caused by Babel finds a parallel in the New Testament, on the day of Pentecost, Acts 2. When the Holy Spirit descended upon the disciples, they began to speak in different languages, but unlike Babel, now there was understanding and unity among the people. This shows that God, through Christ, restored the communication lost by humanity's rebellion. 9. The meaning of the Tower of Babel for modern times. Today, many still build their own Towers of Babel, trying to achieve success, power, and recognition without God. The story teaches us that true security and fulfillment come only when we follow God's purposes. Dear brothers and sisters, I hope this message has strengthened your faith. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave your like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. May God greatly bless your life, and see you in the next video.